And welcome, everybody, to Beaufort County's Council House of Cards. Say that 3 times fast. Good to be here with you. I'm Mike Covert, and it is another Thursday night, the 27th of July. You know, we've been at this, I think it's been a little bit over, well, I'm not sure how many months it's been. It's almost a year, I think. Pretty sure. Almost positive. Matter of fact, I know it is. We're at about a year and some. So if you've been with us the whole time, thank you so much. We're glad to be your Thursday entertainment. And I tell you, things have changed ever since we started. Every month, something a little bit bigger, a little bit better. And it all starts with folks that have been helping us along the way. You see along the crawler there on your screen how you can get involved with Beaufort County's House of Cards and the Big Patriot Radio Network. Consider contributing to the patreon.com/Beaufort House of Cards platform. There you see it. We would love to have you a part of the show. We have some jaw-dropping, turn this up a little bit, jaw-dropping shows coming over. We have had some jaw-dropping shows over the past several weeks, and I don't see why this one would be any different. Matter of fact, I said it last week and the week before that we were making changes up until, we aired. Some things came in. It was the same this week. I mean, right up until I was playing some music in the background, making some adjustments, and something else came in. I had to make a change. It's crazy. It's crazy. when it comes to government and bureaucracy in Beaufort County, in any county, it's supposed to be a little slower in the summertime. But then we have Beaufort County. Anyway, hey, be sure to tune in to www.bigpatriotradio.com all day, every day for the absolute best in music, news, and talk. We have podcasts, if you didn't know, like the New America Movement on Mondays at 7 o'clock and a replay encore at 9 p.m. Eastern. Overton Report with Corey Allen on Tuesdays at 7, and then again an encore at 8 or shortly thereafter. House of Cards plays on Thursdays at 7 p.m. on Big Patriot Radio. Culture Crossroads with Andrew Southwick on Sundays at 7 o'clock p.m. And Frank Friedenauer's Freedom Hour on at 8 p.m. Sunday evenings. All those times are East Coast. It's amazing. Have to say that because it's great. We have folks in New Mexico. We have some folks in Colorado. Believe it or not, we have some two that I know of in California that tune in, and some folks tune in throughout the week. It's pretty cool here on the House of Cards. But first, before we go any further, let's go ahead and have. Let me see if I can find it here. Yes, your 5-minute news right here on Big Patriot Radio.
This is VOA News. I'm Steve Miller. Supporters of a coup in Niger ransacked and set fire to the headquarters of the ruling party in the capital of Niamey on Thursday after the army command declared its backing for the takeover carried out by soldiers of the Presidential Guard. United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres said that he spoke earlier with Nigerian President Mohamed Bazoum and that the situation was serious.
Today, a very strong appeal, not only for him to be immediately released, but not only that, for the democratic institutions to be reestablished.
The United States also says it has not seen any credible indications of involvement by Russia or by the Russian Wagner Group private army in the coup in the African country. That's according to White House spokesperson Karine Jean-Pierre on Thursday. Meanwhile, Russian President Vladimir Putin on Thursday said that Russia would continue exporting grain, including free-of-charge supplies, to Africa despite what he called, quote, illegal sanctions imposed by the West. In an address, the Russian president said that his country would provide 20 to 25,000 tons of grain for 3 to 4 months to several African countries. The summit follows Russia's withdrawal from a grain deal that allowed Black Sea exports to vital to many African countries, a move that drew strong condemnation from around the world. Kyiv is saying that it has launched a major push against Russian forces in the southeastern part of the country as part of its weeks-long counteroffensive. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin says that Ukraine appears to be conserving manpower and equipment in the move. This is VOA News. A device planted in a taxi exploded in a Damascus suburb near the Shiite Muslim shrine on Thursday, a day before the holy day of Ashura. The state-run Syria Public Authority for Radio and Television said there were reports of injuries in the blast, but did not elaborate. The Britain-based opposition war monitor, Syrian Observatory for Human Rights, however, reported that 10 people were killed or wounded. With heat waves spreading across the United States, U.S. President Joe Biden unveiled some new steps to protect outdoor workers. We hear now from AP correspondent Shelley Adler.
The record temperatures, and I mean record, are now affecting more than 100 million Americans.
Which is why President Biden directed the Department of Labor to increase inspections of potentially dangerous workplaces like farms and construction sites. He also wants heightened enforcement of heat safety violations.
I've asked Acting Labor Secretary Julie Su to issue a heat hazard alert. It clarifies that workers have federal heat-related protections.
The president also encouraged people to check on neighbors and loved ones during the heat wave and head to cooling centers.
I want the American people to know help is here. and we're going to make it available to anyone who needs it.
I'm Shelley Adler.
Wildfires caused explosions at an Air Force ammunition dump in central Greece Thursday. The site, which is outside the military airbase of Nia Anchialios near Volos, was evacuated safely with no injuries reported. Strong wind gusts caused flare-ups around the country, disrupting high traffic and rail services. The fires have raged across parts of the country for over 2 weeks, leaving at least 5 people dead. Earlier, UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres shared data that July appears to be set for the hottest month on record.
Humanity is in the hot seat.
Some 15,000 members of the Nigerian Association of Resident Doctors continued their strike Thursday to protest poor working conditions, shutting down health care in critical wards across the country's public hospitals. Adenuga Omagbolahan is a physician, and he spoke with the Associated Press.
We are not asking for too much. We are saying they should increase the minimum wage because the current minimum wage is a criminal wage. It is not a living wage. It cannot take us anywhere.
Nigerian doctors say that there is an unprecedented number of them leaving Nigeria for better job offers abroad without being replaced. And the World Health Organization reports that Nigeria has a ratio of 4 doctors to 10,000 patients, and that's as of 2021. From Washington, I'm Steve Miller, VOA News.
And that is your 5-minute news right here on Big Patriot Radio.
Locked and loaded.
Let's go.
Big Patriot Radio. News, country pop, and classic rock.
So this past week, it's not a surprise that the #1 most requested song here on Big Patriot Radio was Jason Aldean and Try This in a Small Town. And the city holding the #1 listening spot this week was right here in Bluffton, South Carolina. Aldean made headlines over the past couple of weeks. His song, Try That in a Small Town, is #2 on the Billboard Hot 100 this week, despite not ranking on the chart at all since its release in May. Now, the song, in case you don't know about this, the song came under widespread scrutiny earlier this month after Aldean released the music video, which depicts protesters confronting police officers and was shortly thereafter pulled from CMT, Country Music Television. Try That in a Small Town is now one of the most popular songs, again, on the Billboard Hot 100 chart. Aldean's hit defied the odds despite the widespread controversy. While it is no longer in the rotation on CMT, Shame on You, which is owned and operated by the MTV networks, which is a subsidiary of CBS News, which is owned by Paramount. The music video gained 17 million views on YouTube, 17 million pickups in just 11 days after making the headline. CMT told CBS News that the video was no longer in rotation, but did not clarify when the video first aired, even though we know when it first aired, how long it was supposed to be in rotation, or why it was ultimately taken down. That's because they're backpedaling faster than Biden can fall on a tarmac. In the country song, Aldean sings, quote, cuss out a cop, spit in his face, stomp on the flag, and light it up. Yeah, you think you're tough? Well, try that in a small town. See how far you make it down the road. Around here, we take care of our own. You cross that line, it won't take long for you to find out. I recommend you don't, end quote. The video focuses on protests against police brutality and also shows footage of violence at demonstrations and robberies. Jason Aldean responded to the criticism he's been getting in crazy numbers. Responded last week in a tweet. He said, quote, in the past 24 hours, I've been accused of releasing a pro-lynching song, even though the song has been out since May, and was subject to the comparison that I was not too pleased with the nationwide BLM protest, end quote, he wrote. These references are not only meritless, but dangerous. Jason Aldean defended the song, which seemingly dares people to try protesting in small American towns, saying not a single lyric references race or points to it. He also said that all the clips in the music video are from news footage. Now, since this happened, there were news reports of big-name country stars removing themselves from the CMT brand, removing records, removing names off of boards of director, et cetera, et cetera. Now, places like the Associated Press and other national outlets are claiming that all of that was satire and a hoax. My opinion is you simply can't believe pretty much any major news outlet. What I can believe is this song. Try that in a small town. It's not racist. It does not invoke lynching, etc. Simply put, it is all about people. All people. And if you're one of those people who believe the lyrics such as this, I'm out of town, thugging my rounds, my coochie pink, my booty hole brown. I'm looking for the hose, quit playing, come, whatever. I can't even say it. That's Pound Town by Sexy Red and Tay Keith. If you think that is okay and Aldean's song is horrible, then you, my friend, are a part of the problem. You're also probably pro having this kind of literature in your public schools. Need I go into that? You probably are. I would put money on that. You're part of the problem. There have been countless videos I've watched on YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, Twitter of folks, get this, seemingly all from the Black, brown, people of color community, who some of these other talking heads have been saying that they're so upset about, yet I've seen countless videos from them all saying, hey, we support this Aldean guy. You aren't going to try anything like that thug shit in my small town, and we don't care who you are. Now, that's what I like to see. So I thought we would do something a little different here tonight. So let's do this. Let's go over here, and I'm going to share with you the video from Jason Aldean. Try that in a small town.
Sucker punch somebody on the sidewalk, carjacking old lady at a red light, pull a gun on the owner of a liquor store. You think it's cool, act a fool if you like. Cuss out a cop, spit in his face, stomp on the flag and light it up. Yeah, you think you're tough. Well, try that in a small town. See how far you make it down the road. Around here we take care of our own. You cross that line, it won't take long for you to find out. I recommend you don't. Try that in a small town. Got a gun that my granddad gave me. They say one day they're gonna round up. Well, that shit might fly in the city. Good luck, try that in a small town. See how far you make it down the road. Around here we take care of our own. You cross that line, it won't take long for you to find out. I recommend you don't. Try that in a small town full of good old boys, raised up right. If you're looking for a fight, try that in a small town. Try that in a small town. Around here we take care of our own. You cross that line, it won't Try that in a small town. Try that in a small town. Try that in a small town.
And there you have it, Jason Aldean, and try that in a small town right here on House of Cards.
Introducing to you. You're on House of Cards. Live on Facebook and YouTube. It's going down. Locked and loaded with the truth.
All right. And don't forget, if you have some comments, suggestions, complaints, concerns, critiques, I don't care. Put it in your chat bar. It's going to show up over here on the side, and we'll try to get you onto the show. And especially if you have some of your neighbors or friends or relatives or someone walking down the street of the different persuasion, we'd love to have them on. Love to have a conversation with it. Anyway, the main interest and focus of tonight's show isn't on Jason Aldean and how the liberal left has continued to show their true colors, that they remain to be the party of suppression and concealment. That's right. That is right. The Democrat Party, the party of slavery and suppression, need I remind you, is at their same old tiresome game. Let's lie and deflect because our believers are generally unaware, however that works, of the agenda at hand. No, we're not going to talk about that. We're going to talk about tonight, focusing our main story on the Beaufort County Administrator's Office and the unwinding of the craziness and corruption that's going on. It's unfolding right before your eyes right there. But let's take a step back and build on this. Back to the Josh Gruber days, where certain members of county council were doing everything in their power to keep Gruber on and promote him to administrator of the county. Even when pressed that they were shoving blatant lies. Hey, Katie. Even though when they were lost my train of thought. When they were shoving blatant lies and false statements to the public, some of the elected officials, and of course the internal bureaucrats, like County Attorney Tom Keveney, for example, they would scatter as much information around and try to hide some while pushing other. Hide a little bit of information, let's push some other. You got to kind of expect that no matter who you are, right? They're pushing other information that generally was useless and meaningless. At one point in time, Attorney Keveney had been pressed so hard by yours truly on this Gruber situation, calling him out in public at meetings, a couple of false statements, inaccuracies. Don't you want to redact that, mister? Anyway, Keveney was, when my wife and I had sold our house, and we had to rent a house while the new one was being built. Keveney was trying to make a case, and he went ballistic that I should be removed from office as I didn't live in the district any longer. And that's right. I had to rent a house while this one was being built, and it happened to be across the street from District 7 into District 6. So when he tried, and some of the blind who were listening, the blind like Rodman and Somerville and that brood, I brought up in public that his statements, the county attorney, mind you, and I'm just an old boy from an old small town, like Jason Aldean says. The county attorney brought these statements up and that they were inaccurate, 100% inaccurate, and not a true description of law. You see, the law says that you must live in the district on day of taking office, period. It's not a loophole. That's not it at all. You must live on the day of taking office. You must live in the district. I sat his spineless ass back down when I helped him look like the inept lawyer that he was. You see, we can call that time period the Gruber area. Let's call it that. And what is going on with Greenway, Eric Greenway, the current county administrator, looks very much like the same thing. I spoke with a former county councilman. I didn't ask to use if I could use his name, so I won't, but he lives over here now. He was in Hilton Head. Now he's over here. I'm talking to him about it this week, and he said, you know what, this is like Gruber V2. Manipulations from inside county staffing, lies and deceit from those who have kissed the ring. Now they're running for cover. They're running for cover. They're like little cockroaches. You know, when you have the palmetto bugs come out after a big rain, you turn a light on and they haul ass. That's what they're doing. Greenway, you know, is subject of a misconduct case. It's been widely reported. Many outlets, including this one, have had story after story after story on this. It stems from the time period, they're saying, January 9th, 2023 through May something, 2023. Nothing, and I mean nothing else was divulged by his office or by County Council Chairman Joe Passaman. Nothing other than, this is a personnel issue and trying to keep everyone in the dark. Forget about the citizens, which have a right to know, but the county council did not know. Apparently, they still do not know the whole story. Former Island Packet journalist, who I hold in great respect, David Lauderdale, had an article on 1 June. I believe it was June 1st or 2nd. Anyway, I believe it was that he talked about this case, so to speak, and made it a point to call out Passaman, actually, who had been vocal. And this is well documented. Passaman had been vocal in praising Greenway for bringing, quote, stability, increased morale, and a depth and breadth of knowledge and experience to the post. Time out a minute. Time out just a minute. This is my 5 minutes. Wait a minute. Greenway was hired by a split vote back when I was on county council. He was hired on an interim basis. You see, before he became the interim county administrator and then the county administrator, he was a long-range planner. Greenway was hired when Passaman, Rodman, McKellen, Howard, Somerville, Lawson underhandedly removed Ashley Jacobs from the administrator position. That's how he got into office. I remember the day so well at the Buckwalder Recreation Complex in executive session when things were happening that are against executive session rules. I came out of that meeting and I said to them, I'm not a part of this, and I can't sleep at night knowing what you're doing to the citizens. And Miss Jacobs, I'm letting the public know. And I did. And boy, did I got hammered for that shit. Ashley Jacobs was quite possibly, if not definitely, the best administrator this county had in many. Yes, many feathers got ruffled by her because she demanded accountability. She demanded responsibility. The good old boys could not stand it. Believe me. I mean, I've watched it. The good old boys were having a fit. The good old boys backdoored her. And they backdoored her hard. Again, I came out and went public on it, and I called them all out, and I will continue to do it. They know they were wrong. They said, well, it's wrong that you divulge executive session. Well, first of all, there's no law that says you can't, but there is a law that says what you did is illegal, taking votes in executive session. Anyway, Greenway, the long-range planner, when he was hired on at Beaufort for the retiring planning director. Greenway has as much business as county executive. You know, he's the chief executive officer of the county. Mickey Mouse has as much, you know, bona fide experience as he does. His background, as we knew it then, and we know it more now, is wrapped around controversy. Right or wrong, it is there. It's there in print. I invite you to go look it up for yourselves. But Passaman The Tsar Passaman says he brings stability, increased morale, and a depth and breadth of knowledge and experience. Yeah. Okay. So Greenway is eventually, this is a little story. You all should follow this however you can visually. So Greenway is eventually moved into the position by split votes, if I recall correctly. And we come full circle in his, get this, $210,000 a year salary plus cushy benefits that add to more controversy. At the time of Lauderdale's article, and also Fitz News was reporting this, there were several fiduciary decisions, they both have said, and supported by documents made by Greenway since coming into this role that were in question. News sources found a Beaufort County Sheriff's Office report that talked about Greenway possibly being part of a misconduct between January and May of 2023. Now, it is important to remember all these dates. Try to remember the people and the characters of this cast, but the dates are real important. What was interesting about the January 9, 2023 date is that was the date a Memorandum of Understanding, an MOU, was released between Beaufort County addressed to Eric Greenway and a company called, as we talked about it here, Elemental LLC. That firm to undertake an opioid public education and marketing campaign. They were hired on behalf of the county, also known as a private contractor. At that point in time, really nothing is out of the ordinary on the surface, except for the financial details of their arrangement were missing from what was made public, of course. As I reported last week on this program, people began to look into the Elemental LLC company at that point and discovered that the firm was owned by two ladies, Angie Hassinger and Lisa Hassinger Lynch. They had incorporated in December 15th of 2022, less than 30 days from when they incorporated, they got their first cushy government contract. How was there any kind of vetting done? You don't just come out of less than 30 days of incorporation and get a cushy government job contract. So questions arise at that time and are still valid now. Take point of these that I'm going to give throughout this program. Question number one, did Elemental LLC have a business license in Beaufort County? I can't find one. Number two, how could there have been any due diligence in vetting this company when they weren't incorporated, but for 20 days prior to the MOU? See where I'm going? I also reported that if you go to their website, this Elemental LLC, there is a personal recommendation by Greenway himself. When I say it's a glowing one, that really is nowhere near what it really is. I mean, it's almost to the point where it's like, dude, did you have to go over, did you eat the whole jar of peanuts when you wrote this? It's too glowing, I guess is a good way to put it. Moving forward from that time period, if you go to the April 2023 timestamp, Beaufort County hires a new wellness director, brand new wellness director. Her name was Lisa Hassinger Lynch. Yes, that's right. You did hear that. That is the same Lisa Hassinger Lynch as is the one of the partner of Elemental LLC. Well, Eric Greenway sends out a letter to all county staff alerting them to this new hire. And we have copies of all this. I wouldn't tell you if I didn't have a copy of it. He alerts them to this new hire and another glowing referral for her. Hey, maybe they are the bomb. Maybe they are. According to him, they are after knowing them for 20 days. Anyway, Nothing was mentioned about her owning a part of Elemental in that documentation. Questions arise at that time and are still valid now. Number one, where is the job offering and its public notice? That's required if you follow Beaufort County public policy, procurement policy, and job offerings. Where is that? We looked for it and can't find it. Number two, there was a county wellness director previously. I believe her name was Donna Hammond. Where did she go and when? Number three, is this just not nepotism, or is it just plain wrong? I guess that's really hyperbole. Well, Lynch then fired off a letter after getting this job, granted a director's job, and she had a consultant's job with the same people. Lynch fired off a letter to all county employees announcing herself to the position and what her goals were, but never a mention about the elemental role she had at the same time. Now, time out for a second. This is not I'm not blasting her at the cross, not at all. This is about Greenway. She is a victim in this. Now, how much she had to do will come out, absolutely, but he's with the government, she's not. She's not a government person. He's a bureaucrat. He knows better. Anyway, moving ahead to late July now, 2023, this story had broken and county council was in the complete dark. Some had gone on television and said that's on the radio. Logan Cunningham said, hey, to the newspaper, you know more about this than I do, which is, you never say that, but that's not the point. I talked to three, and they all said, I have no idea. They're not telling us. Except for Passament, at least. He knows. He called for a special meeting on 24 July, just a mere 3 days ago. And the lion's share of that meeting was in executive session. And the material said it was referencing employment. Now, it's important that you know this as citizens. County Council of Beaufort County has one employee, just one. And that is the county administrator. No, they do not employ the county council or the clerk to council. That person is employed by the county administrator. No, they don't employ the county information officer. That person is employed by the county administrator. No, they don't employ the guy who cleans the trash cans at the convenience center. That person is monitored by the county administrator. You see where I'm going here? County council has one employee, and that is the county administrator. That's obviously who this was about. Now, it is important to note that Greenway had not been implicated in any criminal wrongdoing at this time. Don't get me wrong. There was no criminal implication of anything. We actually have no idea because whether there really was the truth, because Passament chose not to release any of it. Totally his decision. As with everything, and I mean everything, people talk. Remember the roach comment? They're scurrying. And this, we're talking 3 days ago, and now we're already to the roaches are going bananas. They're all over the place. There were people inside the county that had been affected by whatever the truth is that's going on. They eventually would talk. They always do. Some have. More will. Before we go to that, County Council eventually came out of the executive session and promptly got to some already planned motions. This is usual and customary. Even though they're not supposed to have these already arranged, they are. This is, again, look who you're dealing with. Anyway, Passament first outlined that Greenway had been placed on paid administrative leave. An acting administrator would be John Robinson, the current assistant administrator for public safety. Robinson, former fireman, and I believe he was like assistant chief or something like that in the city of Beaufort, or somewhere over there. Second, a motion was unanimously approved. All of these motions were unanimously approved, by the way. authorizing the Finance, Administration, and Economic Development Committee to contract with one or more professionals or professional firms to conduct a thorough review of all purchases that have occurred since January 1st, 2023, to confirm that these purchases comply with procurement codes. One note: Finance, Administration, and Economic Development Committee, which is in charge of all of these motions, is chaired by Mark Lawson. Oh my God. Anyway, questions arose then, and they're still applicable now. Number one, pay attention to this, folks, and see what you think. Number one, my question to them is, and this would be to Joe Passament and County Council as a whole, but specifically Joe Passament, why are you limiting this to January 1, 2023 forward when Greenway has been there since 2019 or 2020 or whatever? To be truly transparent, or hey, forget transparency, to really know what the hell's going on, his entire tenure needs to be investigated on this financial level. You should do it for transparency, but at least do it so you know where the books are. Why start at January 1, 2023, when there were 4 years before that he had his finger in the pie? Next, a motion was passed authorizing the Finance Administration Economic Development Committee to contract with one or more professionals or firms to conduct a thorough review of all contracts for professional services which the county has entered into since January 1, 2023, to confirm these contracts comply with the procurement codes. Again, questions arose and are still applicable now. One, why are you limiting this to 1 January 2023 forward when Greenway has been there since 2019 or 2020? To be truly transparent, his entire tenure needs to be investigated. I say it again because it needs to be said again. And you're right, Julianne, that's a great idea. Next, another motion passed authorizing Finance, Administration, Economic Development Committee to contract with one or more professionals or firms. Do you think these were written ahead of time? I know they were, and I know who wrote them. Anyway, to conduct a thorough review of the county's procurement codes. Here's where it starts to turn left, just a hair. That was approved and authorized. The final motion was to authorize the Finance, Administration, and Development Committee to contract with one or more professionals to conduct an audit of the county's P-card system for the years 2019 through 2023 and report findings. So now they also want to check the procurement code, and they want to do a complete 2019 through 2023 check of the P-card. Now we're getting somewhere. Questions arose then, and they're still applicable now. Number one, why has not Dave Thomas, County Director of Procurement, who has been the subject of press scrutiny, some of that by me, why has he not been placed on administrative leave during this investigation? I'm not saying he did anything wrong, not at all. But if you're going to investigate the procurement codes and the procurement policies, you probably need to have the people doing it step aside. That would only make sense. A P card is, and that is my good friend and super talented radio personality, Al Flowers. It stands for purchase card. It's a company credit card. If you're a director, or I think even below that, you get a county credit card. So anyway, why hasn't Dave Thomas, the director of procurement, been told, you know what, take a few weeks off. We're going to pay you. You're not being accused of anything. And I'm not accusing him of anything. Not at all. I don't have anything allegedly to accuse him. But I'm saying if you're going to check it, have the directors and the people counting the coins need to be moved aside. Number two, why are you limiting this investigation? This is the procurement from January 1, 2023 forward. This should go back to Greenway's time and position. Number three, If the P card system is, however, being looked at from 2019 through 2023, as the motion says, why isn't Whitney Richland, the finance director at one point, and now assistant administrator to Eric Greenway, why is she not placed on leave? Again, I'm not saying you did anything wrong, Whitney, but you were the finance director about when he came here, and now you're the special assistant, or something like that, what they call it, or first assistant to the CEO. You need to, they need to, not calling you out, but you need to be moved to the side. That's how these things work. Now, take a drink. Now it's going to speed up. And we're already at, what did I say, the 24th or 25th or something like that? And it's the 27th right now. Now it's going to speed up. So get your whiteboard out and your markers, because this is going to blow your mind. This is really going to blow your mind. Here we go.
Are you ready?
Now, we're moving into a new territory, and Greenway at this time still has not been accused of anything criminal. Okay? He's just been placed on paid leave, usual and customary, unfortunately. And I agree with you, Julianne, but that is usual and customary. Anyway, recently, and we're talking within the last, what is this, 72 hours? A new twist came into the light. It's been proven that on June 23rd, 2023, day before all this, Greenway, I want to keep wanting to say Greenway approved an invoice, check this, for $36,000 to be paid for the purchase of 600, approximately, weighted blankets. There was no purchase order for these approximately 600 weighted blankets, but there is an invoice that shows these blankets were purchased from a R&R Home. That's the name of the company. This company, R&R Home, is owned by a Natalie and Mike Howard. Who are they? They happen to be the parents of Whitney Richland, the assistant county administrator, former finance director. Now, I told you to hold on. There is some speculation that a couple of county employees have come forward and have stated, well, there's not speculation, they have stated that the above is simply not true, that it went through R&R Home. These three employees came forward and stated that the blankets were purchased from Richland, again, the assistant county administrator, husband, Andrew. But to hide that, allegedly put the name R&R Home on the invoice. Now, I hope you're saying, well, what's he got to do with anything? That's a little far. Great. I'm glad you asked that. So there is, however, some proof from some Facebook ads. Be careful what you put on Facebook, because it's always there. There are some Facebook ads placed by Whitney Richland, again, assistant county administrator, in December of 2019, all the way through January 2023. These ads were that she had weighted blankets available for sale, and mentioning that if anyone was interested, just to contact her, and she tagged her husband, Andrew, in the ads. Now, why were these blankets purchased in the first place? At the request of the then newly hired county wellness director, Lisa Hassinger Lynch. It came out yesterday, the 26th of July, that now it's former Beaufort County employee Lisa Hassinger Lynch was coming out with an alleged sexual assault or sexual harassment and a retaliation against Greenway. This came out in a statement she released through her lawyer yesterday. In her release, it reads, and I quote, This is Lisa Lynch, the one half of the Elemental LLC county contractor and the county wellness director, who now has been fired. Quote, I met Eric Greenway socially in 2022. He pursued a romantic relationship with me, and I agreed to a couple of dates with him. While flattered by his affection, I was not interested in that kind of connection, and I made it clear to him we could be friends but not romantically involved. She went on to say this, quote, just 2 weeks into my tenure with the county, sweetheart, you don't have tenure, I attended a party with my significant other. Greenway was also in attendance. He was openly agitated and made it clear that my act of bringing my boyfriend to a social event was offensive to him. After he left the party, Greenway sent a string of emails and text messages directly threatening me, and this is Lisa Lynch talking, and my livelihood. He financially threatened my family and professional associates as well. I was shocked by his behavior. Well, wouldn't you know, I just so happen to have copies of the text messages. Here you see the first one. The EG, that's Eric Greenway. Wednesday, April 5th, this is a kind of a precursor to the party. Hey, I've created this job for you. It will be set up for you as you need it to be for security and comfort. I want this for you as about as much as you do. So please feel the freedom to reach out to me anytime you have a concern. Thanks, Eric. All right, that was the setup when he started the job for her. But the night of the party, she has this text right here. Part of her text is sometimes your humor is hard to catch up. It's hard to catch, and I honestly wanted to make sure you knew we weren't kidding. We were kidding. Greenway says, be aware of what you gave up tonight and what this will cost you. And I think Himanshu, I think that maybe type error, I guess, or whatever, I don't know, will cost you and Angie. Angie is the other partner in the Elemental. But have fucking fun, because you are now just an employee of Beaufort County, and I've lost all trust and affinity for you. Enjoy, James. And we can only assume that James is the boyfriend. So we have proof that, did you not see, Al, did you all see the text messages? Let me know if you didn't, because you need to see that it's real. Let me know if you didn't see it. Anyway, those are the text messages right there. Text messages from April where he says he's creating this position when in really, well, let me put it back there then. You got to see that. Let's stop sharing and let's go back and let's share the screen. Bear with me a second. All right, let's try it again. This is the one from the party where he says, be aware that you can read it, what you gave up tonight, blah, blah, blah. That was Saturday at 9:56 p.m. after the party. Okay, there you see that one. Now, here's the other one. This is back in April when Eric is texting her and saying, hey, I created this job for you, which we know was bullshit because there was already a county wellness director, Donna Hammond, and there's rumors about that, but we'll forget about that for now. It'll be set up for you as you need it to be for security and comfort. I want this for you about as much as you do, so please feel the freedom to reach out to me anytime you have a concern. What a swell guy. What a guy. What a guy. I hope you all saw that. Anyway, she went on to say, and I quote, I expressed my distress, she says, to management of Beaufort County and was assured that the matter would be handled. I then made a formal complaint of discrimination and retaliation. The complaint was investigated, and despite the open threats, get this, No wrongdoing was found on Greenway's part. Are you frigging kidding me? The man writes in a text message, I hope you know what you did, blah, blah. Well, you all read it. That alone, no wrongdoing. I then filed a charge with the EEOC for discrimination. Lynch continues and goes on to say, I was approached by law enforcement. Here's where, and this is recent, man. I was approached by law enforcement to become the main witness against Greenway in some suspected criminal activity. So Beaufort County and or SLED and or the 14th Circuit and or the First Circuit, David Pascoe, has approached her and said, hey, yo, we want you to become the main witness against Greenway in some suspected criminal activity. She went on to say, although I was hesitant to do so, I agreed and promised to tell the truth about all of the matters involving Greenway. End quote. Now that has the connotation, and Julianne, you are spot on, a huge one. I see the words behind those words that there's more shit under the rug that they've been sweeping. My comment to Greenway at this point is, bro, you pissed this gal off and she ain't walking away. You have totally effed up here, my man. If these things, they're alleged, pan out to be true. We saw the text messages. We've seen the rest of the stuff. Let's go on. Now, at the end of her statement, Lynch ends with this, quote, yesterday, I was terminated by Greenway's assistant administrator for a pretextual reason. Now, we believe that is Whitney Richland. We believe that. We don't know that. And what she means, this pretextual, is that they possibly think she was not truthful or genuine in something, according to the county. And obviously, if they want to find something, they will. That's neither here nor there, because crooked is as crooked does. Now you've got a pissed off, I'm talking fuming, pissed off, highly educated gal, along with the other alleged stuff, bro. We just learned that County Council Chairman Passman is called for a special meeting tomorrow at County Council chambers. You think? It's highly probable, in our opinion, and according to some sources that we've talked to today, the County Council will be cutting old boy loose tomorrow, maybe. And we need to stay tuned for that, because the temperature has gotten up. Now, if they do cut him loose, then the question is going to be, are they going to give him a severance package that they do every time that would make you go, I'll go. Anyway, it is, what time is it? It is straight up 8 o'clock right here on the House of Cards.
Locked and loaded.
Let's go.
Big Patriot Radio. Blues, news, country pop, and classic rock.
Now, wait, there's more. Seriously, call your neighbors, because everybody needs to hear this. This is how, and I try to make this a little light because it's so serious and it happens so often, and we have been preaching about this for so long that people have got to get involved. Anyway, Greenway has had quite a storied past. He came to Beaufort County after some contentious jobs in Bryan County, Georgia, just down the road a piece, York County, South Carolina, up the road a piece, and Berkeley County, South Carolina, up past Charleston. I had one supervisor, and in Berkeley County, they call them supervisors, call me when he was hired as the interim county administrator and asked me, this is verbatim, he was like, are you all crazy? Do you know what happened in his past? Folks had it. Recently, it also came to light that many months ago, You're going to love this. Many months ago, Greenway was accused of wrongdoing, possibly as part of this whole issue. But he was playing golf with Elvio Tropiano of Pine Island. That in and of itself is not anything wrong. I would be shocked if he hadn't played golf with him, and vice versa. But there were two others in the foursome out on Fripp Island. Now, again, I don't disparage him or Elvio for that. That's not what this is about. But during this entire thing, Greenway has asserted that one of those foursome would soon become an employee of the county. Well, it's obviously not Elvio Tropiano. The other two in the foursome were David Kinlaw and Ken Glasson. Ken Glasson was accused of a sex crime back in 2017 in Mount Pleasant near Charleston, and is a former Mount Pleasant Town Council member. Now, and that has been settled, and he did not serve any time, but that case has been settled. Kinlaw, the same sources are telling us, is the neighbor of Glasson over in Habersham. So Glasson and Kinlaw are neighbors in Habersham, and their other neighbor happens to be Angie Hassinger of Elemental. Again, apparently, allegedly, at least they did at one time, all living in Habersham. So, interestingly, I have to ask, is it an address in Habersham where Greenway was at the party and saw Lisa Lynch and got his panties all twisted and sent out those texts that I just showed you? Yes. Question: what is the connection with Habersham? Why Habersham? Why? We dug a bit more into Habersham and the county and Greenway. What we did find that county attorney Tom Keveney and his husband Angus Trask did own a townhome there at one time. Luck of the draw? Fate? I really don't know. But doesn't it seem a bit strange, or at least perplexing? I mean, don't you think? We also found it interesting that Kinlaw's wife happens to be in the pharmaceutical and wellness business, just like Angie Hassinger and Lisa Hassinger Lynch. And they're all in Habersham. And they're all together. Again, where does all this stop? You know, someone said earlier, a confidant that, you know, what's Tom Keveney got to do? So I said, well, I don't know. But we dug into Tom Keveney and his husband, Angus Trask, lived there at one time. They sold the place. And then you have all of this happening, and it's in the very same neighborhood. I don't know. It's just perplexing. So what do you do? What do you do? Let's fix that noise there. Do you fire the guy and commit to a $50,000 to $85,000 national search for, chief executive officer, county administrator for a county that, because of the existing, bear with me just a second. There we go. Can y'all hear me? I had to fix that. It's a county, Beaufort County, because of the existing bureaucrat body and and former elected officials on county council, some current. It's an understatement for me to tell you that Beaufort County has a big black eye. You know, they would be lucky. Beaufort County would be lucky if anybody that was half-ass a county administrator would apply. The best, we want the best. We want to hire you. We're going to pay them $250,000. You're not going to get it, Beaufort County. Many of you, some of you, now you, Some of you know that I used to sit on a national board. It was the National Association of Counties. Only one ever in Beaufort County to sit on, and the only one ever from the state of South Carolina to sit on that national board. There were people in D.C. when I went to those meetings that knew about Beaufort County and the shenanigans from Ashley Jacobs firing, Josh Gruber, the guy who came in for an interim, the guy before that. I mean, it was embarrassing. These people talk. They talk. These people who apply for these jobs, it's like a circuit. Same thing with school board superintendents. These people know each other. They're all doing the same thing. They're just looking for a job, and they know where to go. They know where not to go. And if you're kind of a shithead, on that upper level shithead, well, you're going to stay away from this school district because they got their shit together. We're going to go over here. Or if you're a moron county administrator, a little butt town, I'm going to go over here because they're not going to do the look. I can't get a job there, but I can get one here. You're not Beaufort County. Hello. You're not going to get the best. You're not. I'm telling you, you're not, because you got an enormous black eye, big black face, big old bruise. Or do you clean house entirely? I mean, that question is valid. The citizens of Beaufort County are pissed. They're tired of this. If you're not tired of this, you need to, I don't know what you need to do, but you need to do a pulse check, because this is your money, folks. This is your tax dollars. Every time, if you own a house and your taxes come out of your house, your mortgage, or when you get your car registration or your boat or your airplane or what the hell, your land, whatever the shit. This is your money. It's being pissed down the street. Why don't you just come over here and hand it to me? It'll go for better than it is to the county when you've got shit like this going on. And that is just the hard truth. Call it like it is. That's the hard truth. Our money is being wasted. The bureaucrats are doing whatever the hell they want. They keep county council, the mass members in the dark like a mushroom. Council leadership is pathetic at best. We've already been through that. That's not going to change until you change them. No, we don't recall elected officials in this state. You can only, the governor can get rid of them, or you can get rid of them at the ballot box. Do we have that long to wait? I don't know. I mean, that's not for me to decide. But I do have a voice in the bureaucrats, the Eric Greenways, or the Whitney Richlands, or who. And I mean, they got a list of county assistant administrators a mile long. I mean, there's like 4, 5, 6, 7 of them. I don't know. All $100,000 a year jobs or more. So what do? I do know this, that we are tired of this. Beaufort County, I am out in this area, specifically more in the Bluffton, Pritchardville area than anywhere else in the county, but I'm in other places as well. And with social media and this thing, I hear people, and they're afraid to say something for the repercussion. I mean, look at what's going on with Lisa Lynch. Okay. She said something and she got whacked. Now she's pissed off enough. She says, I don't give a shit. I'm going after your ass, boy. And she will. People have got to take a stand. You don't have to get as animated as I do. You need to have a little passion, but we have to stand for something, or you're going to fall for anything. We see that in our school system right now. The people that are standing up for civility, for common sense, for honesty and goodness and the love of children are standing up against this pornographic, obscene material that people like the iniquitous beast of Ladies Island and her miscreant imps, all the atheists worship this kind of shit. You should pay extra, like 3 X's on your bill for, or call 1-900 for this stuff. We're standing up against that. We need people to stand up against that. We need people to stand up against these bureaucrats that are pushing. This is a joke. This is a joke. What I just read to you, this is not normal, ladies and gentlemen. This is not what you should be paying for. Not anywhere near it. You know, no county, no town is perfect. But I have been to a few that, I mean, they run pretty smooth. And when something like there's a speed bump, they fix it. It's gone. Not here. Not yet. So, next week on the House of Cards, we are super excited. And if you have something to add with what we're talking about tonight, please get on there and do it now before we end the show. Next week on the House of Cards, we are super excited. That's right, Julianne. Next school board meeting is next Tuesday at Mink Point. Is it Mint Point or Mink Point? Either way, on Mink Point Boulevard at 6 p.m. Please show up. Please speak. If you can't or are not in the public speaking deal, call. You got to email the Robin Cushingberry, I think her name is, the day of. Let her know you want to call. Give her your phone number. They'll call you when it's time, and you say what you got to say. You got 3 minutes, and we move on. The school board needs to hear from real people. They need to hear from people who are concerned, not what they've been hearing from a preset bunch. Now, the kids who have spoken, there's nothing against them, but their parents ought to be taken out back and have their ass whipped because they've used these kids as props. Whether those kids are gay, lesbian, I could care less. I don't care. That's their issue. But to use them in their social stature as a prop is disgusting. It's disgusting. They need you there. Anyway, we're super excited to have one of, if not the most well-versed person and expert on election integrity and the voting machines across this nation. Mark Cook of Colorado is scheduled to be on here with us, and that is super exciting as we are inching closer and closer to another election. We are also planning on having a week or so, should be after that, South Carolina House Representative Rob Harris of Greenville. Harris is a sponsor of several election bills, integrity bills here in South Carolina, and can take what you will hear from Cook and turn it grind it down to a state level for us. That is also important. We have got to get rid of these machines. The Beaufort County GOP and many other county GOP parties right now are pushing something called rank choice voting. We talked about it last week. It is horrible. It is doing exactly what we talk about the Democrats and how sick they are in their games. It's doing exactly what we're claiming they're doing. Ballot harvesting, early voting. Voting is it's everything that you thought that the Democrats were doing, that they are doing. Now the GOP is saying, let's go do it. We have to win. They're like freaking out. We have to win. Let's do what they do. No morals, no guts, no glory. People like Jodan Lee, who the machines are the best. There's no integrity with what she proposed, and she's an executive committee woman. Holy Jesus. The county GOP is not where you need to be laying your laurels because they're listening to Rona and Drew, and they want the machines. They want because they have power. Anyway, you want to tune in next week, Mark Cook, and then House Rep Rob Harris after that. Because, I want you to, speaking of the machines in Beaufort County, remember this. Again, we all know what happened in 2022 with my election and Tab Tabernick as well. I mean, she was in it as well. You saw what the state did. You saw what the county did. The machines are fine. When we saw it with our own eyes, and I have gone on national television, national podcasts, and talked about this, that is a lie. We saw it with our own eyes That what happened was not supposed to happen. Beaufort County GOP says, shut up, sit down. The machines are fine. And if you continue to speak out about them, we'll kick you out of the party. My suggestion is get to kicking, boy. They've been proven wrong, and we're going to continue to prove them wrong more and more. It's up to you, the voter. Again, are you tired of this shit yet or not? Don't forget to tune into Big Patriot Radio and our podcasts all week long with a New America Movement. Those guys coming on Mondays at 7 o'clock, and then a rerun encore at 9 p.m. Eastern. The Overton Report with Corey Allen, who has late-breaking news pretty much every week. He is going to be on Tuesdays at 7, and then again 8 or shortly thereafter in a encore presentation. Thursdays, a repeat of House of Cards, Culture, Crossroads, and Andrew Southwick on Sundays at 7 o'clock, and the Frank Friedenauer Freedom Hour on Sundays at 8 p.m. Eastern. Do you have a podcast? If you want to get yours on the national scene, give us a call, give us an email, bigpatriotradio@gmail.com, bigpatriotradio@gmail.com, and we will get you on our network. Thanks, Kate. And get you on your way. Stay safe. We'll see you again next Thursday night. We love you, America.
Until the day I die.
that's why they call me